Hi, I'm Joel Zartman, at present the only pastor at Westside Baptist Church. I just want to do a short video blog reading the text and commenting on it briefly. And this video is about 2 Chronicles chapter 14. We could say that the theme of this section of Chronicles is about seeking the Lord, the section that goes from chapter 14, 15 to 16. We'll just do 14, which is the first chapter in that section. First 8 verses of this chapter tell a story of Asa seeking the Lord. It says, Abijah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his place. In his days the land had rest for 10 years, and Asa did what was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. He took away the foreign altars in the high places, and broke down the pillars, and cut down the Asherim, and commanded Judah to seek the Lord, the God of their fathers, and to keep the law and the commandment. He also took out of all the cities of Judah the high places and the incense altars, and the kingdom had rest under him. He built fortified cities in Judah. For the land had rest, he had no war in those years, for the Lord had given him peace. And he said to Judah, Let us build these cities and surround them with walls and towers, gates and bars. The land is still ours, because we have sought the Lord our God. We have sought him, and he has given us peace on every side. So they built and prospered. And Asa had an army of 300,000 from Judah, armed with large shields and spears, 280,000 men from Benjamin that carried shields and drew bows. All these were mighty men of valor. You can hear an echo of the situation that obtained in Israel during the time of the judges from time to time in this section of Asa and Chronicles. There's a sense that you could lose it all and it could go back to the anarchy. In verse 2, we read that Asa did what was good and right in the eyes of the Lord. In the eyes of the Lord, which reminds readers of the Bible of when each man did what was right in his own eyes. And that was a very different thing from doing what was right in the eyes of the Lord. The eyes of God will be mentioned again in chapter 16 in the story of Asa. A seer will remind Asa that God sees. This is a theme throughout the story of Asa. Asa lives right now conscious of the fact that God knows right now, that God knows, and so that what he does is right in God's eyes, which is the correct standard. It reminds us what deceitful creatures we can be, how subjective we can be with what is right, how our agendas and even our desires that we don't acknowledge to our own self. We have desires that are tangled, our motives that are tangled. We make things right in our own eyes that are not right from where God sees and his just and true perspective. But here Asa, he's seeking the Lord. He wants to do what God approves. That's what it means to seek the Lord. He destroys illegal pagan worship centers. He destroys idols and all the idolatrous paraphernalia he can find. He orders that in his kingdom, people are to worship God, to seek him, to inquire of him, and to remember God's law and commandment. He orders them to do what God approves. That gives him rest. A well-being descends on the kingdom, and in that well-being, he does not take a break, but continues by doing his other kingly responsibilities. He fortifies the country. He says to them, look, we've honored God. We have a good country now. We're prospering. Let's fortify. Let's not squander this opportunity. God has given us rest so that we can work. In verses 6 and 7, you get it repeated. The Lord gave him rest. We have sought the Lord our God. He has given us peace. They sought the Lord blessed them and prospered them. They were responsible, therefore. They fortified. They had an army of nearly 600,000 men. Asa looked after the things of God first, and then he went on to his other responsibilities, and that's the point. Well, what happens next? Verse 9. And Zerah the Ethiopian came out against them with an army of 1,000,000 men and 300 chariots, and came as far as Marishah. And Asa went out to meet him, and they drew up their lines of battle in the valley of Zephathah at Marishah. And Asa cried to the Lord his God, O Lord, there is none like you to help between the mighty and the weak. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rely on you. And in your name we have come against this multitude. O Lord, you are our God. Let not man prevail against you. So the Lord defeated the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. And Asa and the people who were with him pursued them as far as Gerar. And the Ethiopians fell until none remained alive, for they were broken before the Lord and his army. The men of Judah carried away very much spoil, and they attacked all the cities around Gerar, for the fear of the Lord was upon them. They plundered all the cities, for there was much plunder in them, and they struck down the tents of those who had livestock, and carried away the sheep in abundance and camels. Then they returned to Jerusalem. So what happens is that they're faced with an overwhelming enemy, 1,000,000 men, and 300 chariots, and chariots are a formidable military technology in that time. There's no way Asa can be fortified against them. He's outnumbered 2-1. And Marishah is down in the southwest of the country where it's flatter, and the chariots have a great advantage, or give a great advantage to Zerah and his Ethiopian army. And that is the life of faith. The life of faith is a series of trials. You will always face some next problem that will come at your weakness to test you, to strengthen you where you're weak, to make you rely on the Lord. The life of faith is one of relying on God. That's the life of faith. You live by faith. You live trusting. That's a premise for your life as a Christian. That's a premise for this test on Asa. Asa had not started out by looking to fortifications, though. He started out by looking to the Lord and doing what was right in the Lord's eyes and finding rest because he trusted God. So now there comes this upheaval, and he turns to the Lord because he's identified with God. He can call on God with a clear conscience, saying something like, "They are attacking those who seek you. They are attacking those who set you first. We rely on you. And now there's a chance for you to show us how reliable you can be." Which still means that Asa and his troops had to march against this overwhelming force. They had to march down into the valley and trust that God would make it work. And they did. And they killed all of them. They killed every single last one of them. God helped them in the trial. He made an army, outnumbered 2-1, prevail. He scattered their enemies, and people feared because the Lord was on their side. The Lord fought for them. There's no way they could say, "We would have won." They won because the Lord was with them. And the lesson is to seek the Lord. Put him first. Your troubles are going to come like unexpected superior armies marching out of a distant country with which you don't even share a border, right? You are not equal. You are not equal to this life. You have greater enemies than 1,000,000 rampaging Ethiopians. Enemies such as the world, the flesh, and the devil. And they will all three defeat you unless God helps you. Therefore, seek the Lord first. Seek the Lord. Make time for him. Attend to his business. Whatever you're serious about in your life, be serious about knowing and seeking God. Seek him in prayer. Make prayer an oasis in which you rest in your life. Wrestle through your problems with God in prayer, the way Jacob did. Before you take on your problems in life, wrestle through them with the Lord. Seek the Lord first. Study Scripture. Be diligent in seeking God there. Seek the Lord in worship. Attend. Be at a church where you're being built up in the knowledge of God, where you find God, where God is present. Seek him there, and the Lord will give you rest. God will deliver you from the world, the flesh, and the devil in this life. And secure in him, you will be delivered from the wrath to come.